guys, so today we're going to continue our series on the book of Deuteronomy, and today we're going to be doing chapter 2. So let's recap chapter 1. Chapter 1, we talked about the Israelites and Moses, and we talked about why, because of their disobedience, because of their complaint, they were not allowed to enter into the promised land, meaning Canaan. And so the spies that they appointed, or that God appointed, which was Joshua and Caleb, were the only two that were able to enter into the promised land, where milk and honey flowed. And Moses, even he threw a rock because of anger. Moses didn't even have the opportunity to go into the Canaan, where milk and honey flow, the promised land, because of the anger that he also had. And so it says it right here, Moses. So God told Moses to speak to that rock, and then the rock would provide water. But Moses didn't trust God enough, to speak to the rock, and so Moses got angry and he disobeyed God, hit the rock. And Moses was the leader, but he did not obey God, and so God said that Moses was not suitable to lead the Israelites into the country. And so this shows that God had a very high standard for leaders. And even the people, like the Israelites, didn't even trust God, because they thought that if he couldn't do X and Y, Z, like provide water, give manna, living water, or living bread, I wouldn't have faith to even believe him and to even be obedient and to trust him. So that's what they have faced, according to not trusting God, or not having faith, belief, hope in God. But chapter 2, verse 1 through 37 is what we're going to be focusing on. And so let's start reading. Then we turned back and we went towards the desert. We traveled along the way to the Red Sea as the Lord had told us to do. We traveled round the hills in Seir, Edom, which is Edom, for a long time. Then the Lord said this to me: "You have gone round this mountain for long enough. Now turn to the north. Tell the Israelites this: you are ready now to go through the country that belongs to your relatives. A foot. Belong to your relatives, the descendants of Esau. They live in Seir. They will be afraid of you, but be careful. Do not start a war against them, because I will not give to you any of their country. I will not give to you enough land on which to put a foot. I have given to Esau's family the hills and Seir. It is their possession. You must pay them with money for your food and water. The Lord your God has blessed you in everything that you have done. He has taken care of you as you have traveled through this vast. And the Lord your God has been with you 40 years. You have had everything that you needed." So God ordered the Israelites to travel on, and the people in Edom did not allow them to go through Seir. Seir. The people in Edom were afraid of the Israelites. God told the Israelites to not attack the people in Edom or to take their country. God had given that country to the family of Esau. Moses reminded the people that God had provided for them during their long journey, and he had given to them everything that they needed in the desert, and they should not desire areas of country that they do not need or they did not need. In Philippians 4:19, Paul reminds Christians that God will supply all of our needs, and he will do that by means of the resources that Jesus provides. Meaning if we seek the Lord, if we are patient with the Lord and we are obedient with the Lord, he will provide what we need. He will provide what we need, meaning something that is enough for us to sustain with, or to live with. And so verse 8, we're going to read verse 8 through verse 23. And so we went past the land that belonged to the family of Esau. They are our relatives who live in Seir. We traveled along the route to the towns called Elath and Geber. Then we turned and we traveled along the desert route to Moab. Then the Lord said to me, "Do not attack the Moabites. Do not start a war against them. I will not give any of their land to you as your possession. I will give the city called Ar to the family of Lot. It is their possession." Verse 10. A strong and large group of people called the Emites used to live in Ar. They were as tall as the people called Anakis. Many people call the Anakis Rephites, and they also called the people who live in Ar Rephites, but the Moabites called them in the Emites. And the people who were called Horites used to live in Seir, but the family of Esau captured their land. The family of Esau killed them, and Esau's family lived there instead of the Horites. Also, the Israelites did a similar thing in the country that the Lord gave to them for their possession. Then the Lord said, "Go across the Zered Valley." So we did. Oppose them. We crossed the Zered Valley 30 years after we had left Kadesh Barnea. By then, all the men who were old enough to fight had died. The Lord had declared that this would happen. The Lord continued to oppose them until they had all died. At last, none of them remained alive in the camp. After they had all died, the Lord spoke to me, "Today you must go near to the region called Moab. It will be at the place called Ar. When you approach the Ammonites, do not attack them. Do not start a war against them. I will not give any of their land to you to possess. I have given it to the family of Lot. It is their possession." People call that place the country of the Rephites. The Rephite people used to live there. The Ammonites call them the Zemzian. They were a strong and large group of people, and they were as tall as the Anakis. And the Lord destroyed the Zemzian people, so the Ammonites captured their country and they lived there. The Lord did a similar thing before the family of Esau, who lived in Seir, and he destroyed the people called the Horites. So the people from the country called Edom captured their country, and the people from Edom still live there today. The people called Avites lived there, but the people from Crete destroyed them. The people from Crete captured the land right up to the city called Gaza. And now, God told the Israelites which territories they must not capture. God had given the territory to the family of Esau and Lot, and this statement taught them that there was only one God, and he had given to each nation its own country. No false gods had given it to them. The Rephites were a group of very tall people. They lived in Canaan. before the Israelites arrived. The name Emite means the terrible people. The word Zamzian means the wicked man. The Israelite men were old enough to fight when they were 20 years old. You can see the mention of the reference in Numbers chapter 1, verse 3. And Moses reminded the Israelites that they had wandered for 38 years in the desert. During this time, all the people who had left Egypt over 20 years had died. So they could not enter the country that God had given to the Israelites. And the writer of the book of Hebrews tells us the reason for that. And so he says, and so the writer says, they were not able to enter because they did not trust God. You can see the reference in Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 19. And the writer encourages Christians to trust God. Then they will receive the good things that God promises. Verse 24 through 37. Go across the river Arnon, and I will hand over to you Shihon, who is the Amorite king of Heshbon, and his territory. Begin to possess his territory and to attack him. From today I will make people everywhere to be afraid of you. They will hear reports about you. They will tremble and they will be very afraid of you. From the Kedemoth desert, I sent people with a message that offered peace. They took this message to Sihon, king of Heshbon. Let us go through your country. We will stay on the main road, and we will not leave it. We will pay for our food and water. We just want to walk through your country. We will do that until we go across the river Jordan. Then we will reach the country that the Lord our God has given to us. The family of Esau and Seir and the Moabites and Er allowed us to do that. But King Sihon of Heshbon would not let us go through his country. He refused, and he would not change his decision. The Lord your God made that just happen. That Lord did that because he wanted you to defeat him. Now it has happened. The Lord said this to me. Look, I have begun to give to you King Shihon and his country. Now try to possess his territory. Shihon came with all his army to fight us at the town called Jahaz. The Lord our God helped us to capture him. We killed him and his sons, and we killed all his army. Also, we captured all his towns, and we destroyed them. We killed everyone. We killed the men, the women, and the children, and nobody remained alive. But we took the animals, and we took the people's possessions from the town. The Lord our God gave to us all the towns from Aurora to Gilead. Aroer, 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 is on the edge of the valley called Arnon, and we also captured the town in the middle of the valley. No town was too strong for us to capture. You obey what the Lord our God had ordered. You do not go near the country of the Ammonites. You do not go near to the land by the river Jabbok, and you do not go near to the towns and the hills. When the Israelites defeated two Amorite kings, and they took the territory of the Amorites. And the first king was Shihon, king of Heshbon. And Moses offered to go through his territory in peace and to pay for food and drink. And Shihon would not allow the Israelites to do that. Because of that decision, God made Shihon refuse to change his mind. When a person refuses, it is very hard for that person ever to change, or ever to like change and to say yes, or to like decide some exceptions over denials or some like disagreements or whatever, And so that happened to Pharaoh before the Israelites left Egypt. You can see the reference in Exodus 7, verse 1 through 5. And God ordered the Israelites to kill or to destroy certain people or objects. And those people gave honor to false gods. The objects were things to which they gave honor. And the Israelites would imitate those people if they left them alive. So what's very important is that they traveled, and then according to their travels, according while they travel according to while they traveled, God told them, don't possess random lands. Possess the lands that I tell you to possess. Go to territories, go to lands that I tell you to establish. I tell you to settle in. Because these lands are for the family of Esau and for the family of Lot. Or these are for the family of X and Y and Z. And so we gotta understand, the Israelites, after they were not granted access to Canaan, they traveled and they tried to capture territories. They tried to capture land. They tried to do everything they could, but the Lord God or Yahweh tells them directly, according to Moses, their anointed leader, messenger of God, that these lands are not theirs, but for the family of Esau and for the family of Lot. That the lands that I tell you, or the territories that I tell you to like have captive of, or the lands and territories that I tell you to have captive of. And so what's important about that is that the Israelites, they wandered for 38 years in the desert, trying to find a territory or a land that they could capture and they could live in, and and produce food and drinks and try to live life like how the people would live back then. And so the issue with this is that they had to be able to face off some giants, some obstacles, some problems and issues. They have to face it off so that they can be able to capture, and that can be and that they can be and so that they can be able to have like rule and reigning of the territory of the land or the town that they tried to capture. Because if there wasn't an agreement, or if there wasn't a God, like if God didn't actually say yes to what they tried to capture, what they tried to get, they would be like wanderers in the desert, wanderers without a land, without a place to rest, without a place to have shelter, without a place to live their life, trying to find food, trying to find water, trying to live the life like how the people of the book of Deuteronomy, of those times, of the book of Deuteronomy lived. And so what they try to capture and possess, they couldn't do without the agreement of the Lord on their side, or the agreement of God on their side. Because without that agreement that God gave unto them, they wouldn't be able to have water or food or drink or live the life that they would live in those times, and that God wouldn't be able to have work within them, or have work, or how would I put this way? They wouldn't know that the Lord God or Yahweh is guiding them every step of their way, because every time they go to different territories, different lands, different towns, different countries, different places, false gods that were honored, but one true God wasn't even honored. Like false gods, Baal and cows and goats and whatever you can think of a name of that are idolatry and that are false gods were worshipped and were honored in those towns and in those territories and lands and places. And so if God didn't agree to be able to destroy those types of worships, and to uplift, or to bring out, or to shine out, or to glorify out the worship of the one true God, then they would still be wandering in the desert. They would still be not living in a proper territory or land or town or location where they could be able to live with peace, live with comfort, live with joy, live just like how they would have lived in Canaan with milk and honey and all that. They wouldn't be able to live it because of because of what God did for them, and because of trusting God at that, in this very moment, in this very time. It doesn't matter if false gods were honored and worshipped and all that. They destroyed it, and they took territory, and they took possession, and they captured it and took possession of it. That all the works of the enemy are the works, or all the works, or all the worship of false gods that were not of the one true God were destroyed, and that they had power and authority through Moses to be able to have a place, have a land, have a location where they can be able to have food and water and shelter and comfort and rest, and just be able to celebrate and thank God that they can be able to find to have or find some time of like enjoyment, to understand that there will not that what they have gone through for about 38 years is what they will is what they're not going to struggle with anymore,